Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei becomes a master of White and Red Dragon Emperor Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video with your friends. I have created my other videos playlist, there you can watch my all videos easily, check out as well. Let's start this video. Long ago, when the three biblical factions were at war, there were two extremely powerful dragons. Drake and Albion. These two dragons were so strong, they were named the Heavenly Dragons. Drake was a big red dragon. He was known as the Security, or the Red Dragon Emperor. Albion was an equally big white dragon. He was known as the Hakuryuko, or the White Dragon Emperor. Both Drake and Albion were always fighting each other. Every time they clashed, huge amounts of energy was radiated. The energy would prove to be quite destructive, and its effects could be felt everywhere. One time during the war, their fight was extremely fierce, and the amount of energy expelled was tremendous. It was so intense that the three factions made a temporary truce and they allied to defeat the two dragons. The Heavenly Dragons were extremely strong, and even the three factions coming together was not enough to stop those two. At the end, God had to intervene in order to stop both of them. Even though the Heavenly Dragons were extremely strong, they knew that God would be able to stop them. So they decided to create an army full of superhumans, which has the power of the leader class, mass, seraphims etc. The forces created by Drake were known as Welsh Dragon Forces, and the ones created by Albion were the Vanishing Dragon Forces. These superhumans were able to keep the three factions and God at bay for quite some time. But alas, they were defeated, and Drake and Albion were sealed away in sacred gears. Some of these superhumans survived, and they decided to live a normal human life. They got married, had kids, and led very normal lives. Two such people were Mickey and Issei Hyoudou. Mickey's ancestors were a part of the Red Dragon Forces, and Gorgeous' ancestors were a part of the White Dragon Forces. Mickey's ancestors were also incredibly skilled magic users, while Gorgeous were physically extremely strong and had a knack for sword fighting. Neither knew of each other's secrets until their son, Issei Hyoudou, was born. From the age of 4, Issei started showing traits of both the parents' ancestors. He was also incredibly smart and strong for his age. It was then that both Mickey and Gauru decided to share their secrets with each other, and then they thought it would be best if they could teach Issei to search, control and master his powers from this age. Both Mickey and Gauru were humans, but they had connections with people in heaven and the underworld. So they contacted three people who would teach Issei how to search and control his powers along with them. Seraphol, Gabriel and Penemu. Three of some of the best from their respective races. Gabriel would teach him to control his magic, Penemu would help in the physical part, and Seraphol would teach him battle tactics. All three were friends from the past, even after the Great War, so it was easy for them to teach Issei together. However, after Issei was 7 years old, Issei was being taught by Seraphol this time. Sarani-sama, look, I was just able to summon these two cool-looking things in my hand. Issei said. Oh, that's nice Issei, I'm sure Seraphol spit out the tea she was drinking. She couldn't believe her eyes. Gabriel, Penemu, you would want to see this. She called out to her friends. What's wrong Sarah-chan? I'm sure it can't be oh my. Said Penemu. What happened you two, you seem like you show a go-oh. Exclaimed Gabriel. Call his parents, quick. Said Seraphol. The reason those three were this excited was because Issei just summoned both the boosted gear and the divine dividing at the same time. But, in history, the wielders of the boosted gear and the divine dividing were always enemies, they fought each other till the other both were dead. What would this mean for Issei? Nobody knew. His parents were informed about this, and they were just as shocked as Issei's tutors. They knew that both of them were descendants of the Heavenly Dragons, but for Issei to summon both the Longinuses. This was not something anyone expected. Issei's tutors informed their fellow high-class people, which included the Mauserziches Lucifer, Archangel Michael, and Governor General Azazel. They were incredibly interested and decided to meet Issei for themselves. Issei was incredibly smart. The problems he was solving now was what even people at colleges or universities would find difficulty in solving. He was incredibly well versed in history as well, not just human history, but as well as the history of the supernatural. He could easily be a historian in both the human and supernatural world. Serziches, Michael and Azazel were all really impressed by Issei. He was also really strong, thanks to his three tutors. His magic reserves were equivalent to high class, his physical strength as well. He was well versed in many types of magic. He could wield any sort of sword with ease, and that included the holy swords as well. All the three leaders wanted Issei to be on their side, but in the end, they knew that it was Issei's decision, and it would be best for them to not intervene. But the biggest wonder to them was the fact that he wielded both the boosted gear and the divine dividing. The two sacred gears, which are said to be the opposite of each other, both reside in the same person. Issei was truly something else. Issei felt really proud of himself after he showed the leaders his strength. However, at the end of the meeting, his life was going to be changed. "We're planning on moving from here and going to a different place," said Mickey. Mickey and Gaoru were humans, but till now they were living in the underworld so that it's easier for his tutors to come and teach him. Gabriel didn't have an issue with coming to the underworld, so they moved to the underworld. But seeing as now Issei would be heavily targeted now that he has both the Longinuses, they decided to move back to the human world. "I see, it is probably for the best," said Michael. Issei's tutors seemed noticeably down after hearing that, although they knew that they couldn't say anything. "One-Isamas, will I be able to see you again?" Before even questioning his parents, the first thing that came to Issei's mind was that he won't be able to see his 3 One-Isamas again. "Of course you can, Ice-kun. After you get bigger you can always come and visit us," said Penemu with tears in her eyes. "Please do visit us often after you get bigger, Ice-kun," said a teary Gabriel. "If you don't, I will find you and hunt you forever," said Serafo, who was on the brink of completely breaking down. "Now, we are moving out after 3 days so you 4 can enjoy a few more days, don't say your goodbyes just yet," said Goru. The next 3 days, all the 4 enjoyed as much as they could. They went to movies, shops, and restaurants. They also fought among themselves to see how strong Issei is. Of course he lost every time and he was devastated, but what he failed to notice is that he had to make his tutors use almost all of their power to win. To say that his tutors were impressed would be an understatement. They could never comprehend how a 7-year-old child would be this powerful. Alas, the day came. Issei was helping his parents in packing up his stuff. "Ice-kun, are you leaving without saying goodbye?" Penemu called out to him while making a fake sad face, and she started to form fake tears in her eyes. Issei however didn't know that. He thought he hurt One-Isama's feelings. NNNNPIIIWW would never do THTH had Issei was stuttering at the thought of his One-Isamas hating him. "Yufu, we're just teasing you Use-kun," said Gabriel. "HMPH.NOT funny, I thought I made you sad," Issei said. All the 3 laughed. "Come on Issei, we are going," his mom called out to him from the car. "Coming mom," said Issei. He hugged his One-Isamas. "I will come to see you again, I promise." "You better," said the 3 while hugging him back and also while crying. Issei got onto the car and waved at the 3 while it went through a magic portal which leads them to the human world. The 3 waved back at him, knowing that they won't be seeing him for a long time. Time skip, 10 years. Issei Hyoudou, now 17, was on the way to his high school for his first day. Issei's parents were arguing about whether or not to send him to school. In the end, they decided that he would be homeschooled till he was at the age of 17, so he could attend his 2nd year of high school. His parents said that he needs at least 2 years of public schooling. The school he was going to was Kuo Academy. It was a girl-only school until a few years ago. It had one of the best overall scores all across Japan. In these 10 years, Issei trained hard to fully search and control his power. During his first few years at his new home, he had a neighbor called Shidu Arena. She was a really outgoing child and played with Issei a lot. However, 3 years later, she had to move away to England. Issei kept on training with the motive that he would show Arena that he could protect her from anyone. Issei trained extremely hard for the next 10 years. It was much more difficult without his tutors, but that didn't stop him. And now, Issei was completely in search of control of his power and aura. "Tell me why you have to go to school again?" asked the Welsh dragon himself, Drake. "For once I agree with Drake, it's completely pointless," said the vanishing dragon, Albion. Drake and Albion were awakened when Issei was 10 years old. They were mortal enemies and didn't get along at first, but later they came to an agreement as Issei was the host for both of them. They both helped him in his training tremendously, and Issei awakened his balance breaker for both forms really early. There was even a forbidden balance breaker in which both forms combined. This is thought of as forbidden because both powers were considered opposite and it wasn't possible for them to combine. Earlier, Issei couldn't stay in that form for a long time, but later, with training, Issei was able to stay in that form without problem. "My parents said that it was necessary to have some interaction with other children of my age," Issei said. "You already know everything they are going to teach you there," stated Drake. "Way more than what they are going to teach you there," Albion stated. Issei already knew much more than what they were going to teach at high school. "Yeah, but it will be nice to brush up on those topics. Also it might be interesting to see how people interact over there," said Issei. As Issei was approaching the school, he waved to many people on the road. Although he was homeschooled, many people knew him. He was a kind and outgoing boy who was liked by everyone he knew. Soon he was outside the school gates. The gates opened and he entered the campus. "Wow, he is so handsome," Damn, we got another Kiba here. I wonder if he's single. I would date him. He looks really nice. He always kept a smiling face while he was walking towards the student council room. He waved to people who were looking at him and they in turn waved back at him. He was already liked by everyone. So it looks like my suspicions were correct. This place is full of devils. Issei thought. Even before he entered the campus, he sensed many devils thanks to his draconic senses. Yes, Issei went through a semi-dragon transformation. As he approached the student council room, he sensed that devils were inside. He had already suppressed his aura heavily, but now he suppressed it to a point where his aura was no different from a human. Knock knock. Come in, said a feminine voice. Issei came inside the room to see a girl who was doing some paperwork. Hello, I am Issei Hyoudou, the new student. I am here to collect my timetable for my second year and also to know which class I am in, Issei said. The girl looked up to see the boy and she immediately formed a slight blush at her face. I mean, who could blame her? Issei was genuinely good looking and not some sort of bad boy trying to get girls. Why yes, here is your timetable and your class is 2B, said the girl after managing to compose herself. Thank you, student council president, said Issei. My name is Sona Shitori. I am pleased to meet you, said Sona. Sona Shitori, where have I heard that name? Issei thought. Oh wait, Shitori is an alias for Citri, that means this is Surfall's sister. Issei was extremely happy knowing that he could maybe meet his tutors again. But he was reminded by his dragons that he should not lose his composure in front of Sona. The pleasure is mine, Issei said with a warm smile, which made Sona blush for a second. Issei turned around and left the room. As Issei left the room, Tsubaki, did you feel that something was off? Said Sona to her queen. His aura seemed to be that of a normal human, but I did feel that something was off, said a slightly blushing Tsubaki. She had seen the conversation from the side and could help but be caught by Issei's charm. We need to keep an eye on him, Sona said to her queen. Hi, Kaichu, said Tsubaki. Issei was heading towards the orc room now because he wanted to visit most of the school before his class started. Knock knock. Come in, said another feminine voice. As Issei came in, he saw a crimson red-haired girl on the table doing paperwork. Damn, people are really busy here, thought Issei. Wait, that hair color I see, so this is the heir of the House of Gremory and Surzich's Lucifer's sister as Gremory was her name. Hello, I'm Issei Hyoudou, a new student, sorry for bothering you. I just wanted to visit most of the school before my class started, said Issei. No, it's no problem at all, said the girl with a warm smile. My name is Riaz Gremory, pleased to meet you. The pleasure is mine, he said. So, no alias huh? Guess this makes communication much easier, but being the heir to the House of Gremory, Issei thought. The building looks really nice, it has a certain royal feel to it. Thank you, said Riaz with a slight blush. After greeting the other members of the orc, he went back to his class as his first class was about to start. His aura was human, but I feel something off about him, said Akeno, Ria's queen. Same here, said Kiba. I hope he is not a pervert, said Kaneko bluntly. We will need to keep an eye on him, said Riaz. Scene change. Hello, I am Issei Hyoudou. Pleased to meet you, said Issei. Alright class, you can ask Issei some questions, said the class teacher. Are you single? Yes. Good, so I have a chance. Wah. Addis was very blunt about the fact that she wanted to go after Issei. Do you practice kendo? Not really, but I would say I'm a good sword wielder. That's nice, also, are you a pervert? I would like to think that is not. That's good to hear. Murayama was really into kendo and also steered clear of perverts. Now she knew that she also wanted to go after Issei. Alright then class, now we will get started on our lesson and you all can ask your questions to Issei later, said the class teacher. This will be really interesting, thought Issei. I was against going to school, but now I'm interested, said Dreg. Indeed partner, this will be really interesting, said Albion. Issei's first day at school went normally. He made new friends, talked to everyone, and everyone seemed to like him. He even befriended many of his juniors and seniors. He was liked all around the school. He was also good at sports. Of course, he was holding back severely, but even then he was probably the best player in every sport which was played in the school. He was immediately a superstar on the first day of school. The girls were all over him, much to the displeasure of a handful of guys, although even the guys liked him as he was a cool guy to be around. As Issei already knew everything done in class, he was also excellent at studies. The teachers liked him as well. Yo Issei, are you free today? If you are, can you come to my house today? I want to show you some things I only show guys who I believe are worthy to be my comrade, said a guy who had glasses. Yeah, what he said. said another guy who was slightly bald. You two better not go around corrupting Issei, said Caddis angrily. Hey, you mind your own business, said the spectacled guy. These two are Motohama and Mitsuda, the two great perverts of the school, said Murayama, who was with Caddis. Yes, and we admit it proudly, said Motohama. We are teenage boys and this is our nature, we should embrace it, said Mitsuda. I like your enthusiasm, but I'm not really interested in those things, said Issei, much to both of the perverts' displeasure. However, if you consider me worthy, I would like to be your friend, Issei said, much to both of the girls' displeasure. My guess it will be nice to have a non-perverted friend, said Motohama with a thinking face. Agreed, said Mitsuda. Alright then, I've decided that you are worthy to be my non-perverted friend, said Motohama. Issei just smiled at them while the girls had their jaws hit the ground. Mitsuda and Motohama went on saying that they had work to do. You really managed to befriend those two without being a pervert, I have really seen it all, said Caddis. Anyways, I'll be off, see you two tomorrow? Asked Issei. Sure, both of them replied. On the way back, he noticed a girl on the side rails of a bridge he needed to cross to go back to his house. She seemed depressed. Do both of you sense her aura? Asked Dreg. Fallen angel, replied Albion. She also seems really depressed, like she lost her beloved dog or something, said Issei. I would say that it would be unwise to converse with her, but knowing you, Albion started. You never listen, so go ahead, I'm also kinda curious, said Dreg. Issei walked up to the girl. You okay over there? Issei asked the girl while waving her hand. The girl looked towards Issei. At first, she seemed extremely scared, it was like she was being hunted by Issei. She started hyperventilating and her heart started beating really fast. Oh whoa, said Issei as she got near her and held her shoulders. I'm not gonna do anything. I was just asking you as you seemed extremely depressed. The girl managed to recompose herself. And then no, it's nothing, thank you for asking, said the girl with a slight blush. Issei could tell that the blush was half real. Interesting, he thought. Are you new here? I usually know people who are from here, asked Issei. Why yes, I am new here. My name is Amano Yuma, said the girl, now known as Yuma. Kyoto Issei, nice to meet you, said Issei while holding out his hand. Yuma blushed, this blush was mostly real, and held out her hand to shake his hand. I guess I will see you around, said Issei. Why yes, said Yuma. Issei waved at Yuma and walked away. I really don't trust her, said Albion in a harsh tone. Relax, Albion, even if she were to fight me, even though she seemed like a strong fallen angel, I don't think she could stand a chance against me, Issei told Albion in his head. You should know, partner, that Albion is the one that worries, and I am the one that encourages you to do the stuff which Albion is worried about. It would be really interesting to see where this goes, said Dreg, while slightly chuckling at the first part. I always wonder why Search Fate decided that it was a good idea to put both of us in a single host, said Albion while cutting the link between him and the other two. He's mad, said Issei. I'm used to it, said Dreg. Issei continued his way home until he was at his doorstep. He rang the bell and was immediately greeted by his mother. So, how was your first day? She asked Issei. More interesting than what I initially thought, replied Issei. His mother was confused and raised an eyebrow. Issei motioned his mother to wait until his father was also there. All three of them gathered in the dining room and Issei started explaining what happened. So, sisters of both Sirach-an and Surziches were in this school and you met a fallen angel? Asked his dad. Yeah, replied Issei. Why didn't you tell Sona that you were tutored by her sister? Issei's mom asked. Well, it would not be the best thing to go out revealing that I'm a dragon. Both of them will think that I'm some sort of strong being and start treating me like that, replied Issei. Both his parents later agreed that Issei did the right thing. They were not that worried with Yuma and they knew that Issei would undoubtedly win in that face-off if they had one. Scene change. Issei was now at his bed when he sensed something. The new Sacred Heart wielder has entered the town, huh? By the way, it's probably Twilight Healing. A pretty rare sacred gear. Let's just hope they are not an enemy. With this, Issei fell asleep. Scene change. Sona, did you meet the new student, Issei? Asked a crimson red-headed girl. Yeah, I did, why do you ask? Replied a black-haired girl. Sona and Riaz were in a steam room, talking to each other. This was a regular routine for them, and usually their queens were with them as well. However, this time, both their queens were busy, so they decided to have the meeting alone. He seemed a little abnormal. Not in the sense that he was physically challenged or that he was a rude person, on the contrary, he was actually really nice, but in the sense that, I don't know, he just didn't seem normal, even though there was more than enough evidence to prove otherwise. Replied Riaz. His aura was completely human. There weren't any noticeable supernatural powers that he possessed. So, he should be normal, said Sona. However, I did also feel that something was abnormal about him. We might have to keep an eye on him. Agreed, Sona. Scene change. Issei's next day at school went normally. He knew everything, he was able to carry his team in sports, he talked to many people, all the girls were fawning over him, and saw the kendo club girls beat Mitsuda and Motohama. So, basically nothing new. At the end of the school day, he said his goodbyes and left. As he approached a bridge he usually crossed, he saw Yuma. She was seemingly waiting for someone. Hey Yuma. He waved at the violet-eyed girl. Oh, hello Issei. She waved back at him. She had a light blush on her, which he could tell was half real, half fake. Were you waiting for someone? Said Issei, smiling. Actually, I was waiting for you, said Yuma. She looked up at Issei, but as she looked at his smile, she looked away with a genuine blush. For me? Okay, well I'm here now I guess, said Issei. He didn't know why she was waiting for him. Why yes, said Yuma. Well, yesterday after you talked to me, I felt like someone finally cared for me. Every time someone tried to get close to me, they had other motives, which were not genuine. But you were ab exception. Even though I was a complete stranger, you cared enough to ask me if I was okay. And I felt something, then so, I know that we don't know each other that well, but if you don't already have someone, would you like to go out with me? Issei was taken aback by the sudden confession. On a date. But they barely knew each other. Something was definitely going on. Don't do it. Do it. Sure, why not? But mind you, I will be aiming to be your boyfriend by the end of the date. Issei had a smirk on his face. Yuma was as red as a tomato. Issei could tell this was genuine. Okay, what about this Sunday? Yuma stuttered more than a car with a faulty ignition. Sure, said Issei with a warm smile. I'll see you the day after tomorrow then. Both of them waved each other goodbye and then went off on their own separate ways. You're so stupid. You are an absolute god. Guess I'm going on a date on Sunday. Scene change. Issei was on his way back home. He was thinking about the sports event in school which was going to happen next week when she heard yelp. He turned around and saw a girl in nun clothes toppled over. Although Issei was not into these things, he couldn't help feeling aroused when he saw the girl's underwear. He was, after all, a 17-year-old teenager. He shook his head and went to help the girl. He helped the girl get back on her feet. Are you okay? Issei asked. Yes, thank you very much, said the girl. So this is the Twilight healing user. Exorcist? I don't think so. This conversation was going on in Issei's head while the girl said. I'm new here, can you please help me to find the church in this place? Doja replied Issei. Thank you very much. Thank you Search Fate for bringing me to such a kind person, said the girl. Issei could only smile awkwardly at this comment. I am Asia Argento, said the girl, now known as Asia. Hyoudou Issei. Nice to meet you, I suppose you are not from here? Asked Issei. No, I'm not, said Asia. She looked down in despair for a moment but then looked up and smiled at Issei. Come on, let's take you to the church, said Issei. Thank you so much, Issei-san, replied to Asia. I definitely do trust her. She looks so innocent. I just want to protect her no matter the cost. I agree with both of you. Scene change. As Issei and Asia were moving to the church, Issei felt something. He was immediately on guard. A few minutes later, a figure could be seen ahead. Who are you and what do you want? Shouted Issei while he got in front of Asia. Well, looks like someone trained their sense organs, said the figure. Father Fried, what are you doing here? Said Asia. Well Asia, I'm just here to pick you up and kill whatever trash is with you right now, replied Fried. What? No, Issei-san is a kind and helpful person, he would never hurt anyone, said Asia. Well Asia, that's the job of an exorcist. To kill whoever isn't devoted to God. And now Asia, this will be your first mission as an exorcist, kill this pile of trash. Fried shouted. No, I won't, Issei-san is a kind person, I could never do anything to him, said Asia. Well then, looks like I'll have to do this instead, said Fried. Issei got into his fighting stance and was going to let out his aura, but as he did that, a red circle opened up next to Asia and out of it came Ria's Gremory and her group. Fried, you have been killing innocent devils who were just doing their jobs. For this, I have been ordered to execute you, said Rias. Well, I thought that boy was trash, but now we have actual devil trash, said Fried. Issei? Rias looked back to see Issei and she was surprised. Issei nodded at Rias, motioning to her that he will explain everything later. Fried attacked Rias but was cut off by Kaneko's punch which threw him back. Kiba later swung his sword at Fried to counter his sword. A Keno from the back shot out a bolt of lightning which knocked back Fried. but Fried seemed unscathed. The Gremory group was surprised as they put quite a bit of power in their attacks. Fried started laughing maniacally. "Is that all you got?" said Fried before he started laughing again. All of them put more power into their attacks, but again, Fried didn't even have a scratch on him. "How are our attacks not damaging him?" exclaimed Akeno. Fried then went to take Asuya, but was cut off by Issei. "You're not taking Asuya, Fried," stated Issei. "I wonder why you are so protective of a nun who isn't even that strong," said Fried, who proceeded to grab Asuya, but Issei cut him off again and punched him on his gut. Fried started coughing up a lot of blood, but he kept on chuckling in between the coughs. "I will die if I keep going, this piece of trash is holding back extremely, yet in one punch I'm nearly knocked out. I guess I'll have to kill the person who got me into this," he said. Fried looked at Asuya with a maniacal smile. In fractions of a second, Fried dashed at Asuya with his sword and pierced her gut with it. She could only gasp before she fell on the floor. Issei's eyes widened as Asuya fell on the floor. She was a kind girl who didn't do anything wrong other than help people. But, for doing what she was supposed to do, she got herself exiled and in this moment got killed. Flashback. While Issei and Asuya were walking towards the church. "So, what brings you to Asuya?" Issei asked the blonde nun. "Oh him." She seemed a little uncomfortable, but their attention diverted to the sound of a boy crying. "Oh dear," said Asuya before running to the boy. The boy was sobbing and couldn't say anything as his knee was hurt, but Asuya knew that the boy fell while playing in the field. "There, it's fine, I'll help you," said the nun before putting her hands on the bruise. A green light came out of her hands. As she removed her hands from the boy's knee, the bruise was completely gone, as if it never existed. "See? All better," said Asuya while smiling towards the boy. "Thank you so much, Wani-chan," said the boy happily as he then ran off to his parents. "Twilight healing is a really handy sacred gear, eh?" said Issei as Asuya came back towards Issei. Her eyes widened. How she stuttered. She started backing up from Issei and also started trembling in fear. "Oh whoa," Issei said before going up to Asuya and hugging her tightly. "I would never hurt you. I know about the supernatural, I possess sacred gears myself," Issei said. Asuya was shocked initially, but later warmed up to the hug and proceeded to hug him back. She started to form tears in her eyes as she hugged Issei. "Thank you," she whispered. After they broke the hug, they continued walking towards the church and she was about to answer Issei's initial question. "I have spent my whole life at a church," she started. "Immediately as I was born, everyone sensed my sacred gear. They were overjoyed and treated me like some sort of special deity. I have been told to heal all people since I was very young. And I did that every time I saw someone wounded. I was never allowed to leave the church and I was told to use my healing powers on the ground of the church which would heal everyone. Since I never left the church, I had no friends and I never went to school. This was all fine for me as I had never seen the outside world and no one told me the wonders of the outside world. However, on fateful day, I saw a person with black devil wings. He was bleeding out like crazy and I saw that he had wounds in many places. He wasn't quite inside the church, but he was in the church vicinity, which I was allowed to go to, but I didn't go there much. I went there and healed the devil. He thanked me and offered to take me with him. I was about to answer, but people from the church arrived at the scene. They chased the devil away and outcasted me for being able to heal the devils, they called me a witch." Asuya started crying as she said the last sentence. Issei winced at the story. A maiden outcast for doing her goddamn job. This was ridiculous. He hugged Asuya again. "Hey, you said you didn't have friends, right?" She nodded. "Well then, I would be your first friend if you like." Asuya's eyes widened, but then her face lit up. She started hugging Issei even harder. "Yes. I would love for you to be my first friend." She started sobbing even harder, but this time, it was tears of joy. Issei could only smile awkwardly at this. After they broke the hug, they continued walking towards the church. This time, Asuya stuck with Issei the whole time. "I will always protect you, Asuya." Flashback end. Those words kept ringing inside Issei's head. Issei's hair covered his eyes. The amount of killing intent coming out from Issei was suffocating. He managed to keep in his aura, somehow, as if he let out his complete aura, the three factions would more than notice it. "Now that good-for-nothing maiden is dead. Now what, you don't have anything to," he gasped. Fried was cut off from his maniacal monologue by Issei. He was grasping his neck. "A scum like you doesn't deserve a quick death, but I'm really not in the mood," said Issei in a really dark voice. The Gremory group was already shocked from the events that preceded this, but now, to say they were scared would be an understatement. It was a miracle they didn't piss their pants already. Issei snapped Fried's head and practically disintegrated his body to nothingness. He walked towards Asuya's lifeless body, picked it up, hugged it and started sobbing. Issei had never felt this type of pain. He was well accustomed to physical pain, but mental pain was something he never experienced. He walked towards the Grimoire group with Asia's body in his hands. Please save her. I can't. Use an evil piece please I beg you'll do anything. Issei was crying desperately. He could only remember the words he said to Asia, I will always protect you Asia, and how he failed to do that on the first day they met. The Grimoire group could only look at the amount of pain going through Issei right now. They all sympathized with Issei. They had felt similar feelings, so they knew what Issei was going through right now. Very well, I will reincarnate her into my peerage as a bishop, said Riaz, hesitating a bit. I will only ask you to not attack our territory. Riaz was too afraid to ask if anything else. Then Issei said in a hollow voice. He would never hurt the town he loved dearly. Riaz brought out a bishop piece from a magic circle and placed it in Asia. She said a spell which put the bishop piece inside Asia. She will be unconscious for a few hours, but she will wake up a devil. I suggest leaving her at our place for a bit. Changing a human into a devil is quite a process, that is, of course, if you are okay with it, said Riaz, still hesitating to even talk to Issei. I will leave her in your care, just, please Issei started until he felt a hand on his shoulders. We promised to make her okay again. A devil's promise, said Akeno. Issei couldn't help himself. He immediately hugged Akeno tightly. Thank you, he whispered. He conveniently failed to notice Akeno blushing up a storm. After he let go, he bowed to the group. He then turned towards Asia. I'm sorry, I failed you. But never again will I fail you. I will always protect you even if it costs my life. Riaz picked up Asia from Issei. Issei turned his back towards the group and summoned his dragon wings. The group was too surprised to even gasp. I hope that answers some of your questions. With that, he flew off back to his house. He was way too tired and depressed to even tell his parents what happened and immediately went to bed. Never again will I fail you. Thanks for watching this video. Part 1 is over. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the playlist that I have created and enjoy. Link is in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.